All right. Good evening, everybody. It's been a while since I did a show. Tonight we have a very special guest. Her name is Cathie Chew, and her story is even more special. Briefly, I'll run through. She was in the insurance industry for many years, and something happened. She became a full-time caregiver for her husband, and then she wrote 4 books. Let me just hand over the time to Cathie Chew. And Cathie, please introduce yourself.
Hi, yes, Yun Tai, thanks. This is Kat. Quick introduction of myself. Basically, I was with insurance giant for 24 long years, Prudential. And because my husband was down by the raw fish 6 years ago, 19 November 2015, and that resulted me because he has lost his hearing, he lost his career, he lost his job, obviously, and I decided to quit on the 30th December 2016. And thereafter, in January, I became an author, and in 20 months, I wrote 4 books. I launched 4 books in 20 months. So today, I am a founder of my company, Beyond Wow Services Private Limited. Yeah, that's is the gist of things.
Okay, so Cathie, the topic that we'll explore today is it's right here. Let me just put it out.
Yep.
Okay, tough times make tough people tougher. That's Cathie's motto. The topic we'll discuss is how can we be resilient amidst life's challenges. So, Cathie, before we dive straight into this question, maybe you just give us a little bit of background. What happened? What happened to your husband, and how did you feel?
Wow. Okay. That's 6 years ago. Basically, a picture paints 1,000 words. If you can see my book, this is my book. I wrote this book in
Romeo,
from
Real
Romeo
Deal.
to Real Deal. This book I shared as a caregiver. Basically, to cut it, if I summarize it, is that my husband ate some raw fish dish, which is $3.50 at one of the popular hawker center in Tiong Bahru. So after he ate on a Sunday, and then he fell ill on a Thursday, which is 19 November, and he was so severe that he went into ICU for about 10 days. And then he continued to stay in the hospital in Khoo Teck Puat for 40 days, as well as Yishun Community Hospital. So all in all, plus another double cochlear surgery will take another 3 days, 43 days in 2 different hospitals. So after all this while, he remains deaf technically.
Wait, hang on. Sorry, Cathie. Your mouth can't really see, so maybe just tilt down the camera so we can see your mouth. Yeah, a little bit more, little bit more. 看不到你的嘴巴。可以了 OK。
Yeah, so that's how it happens. So so after he lost his hearing, he lost his job. It was a tough journey for him as well as my 3 children because they were ages 13, 15, and 17. So I saw the distress on his face after marrying him for 20 years. So so by December, I decided to say bye-bye to my one and only career, Prudential. So that's how it goes. And I was seated at my table doing some devotion. I'm a Christian, so my daughter kept asking me what am I trying to do. So that's how I became an author. Yeah, Chinese we call 作家，坐在家里 until become 作家啦。So so that's how it began. And by April.
Was it easy to? How was it like to make that decision, having to choose between your family, your husband, and your career? How do you feel like?
The interesting thing is, of course, it's not easy. but I have to, I mean, all my life, my insurance career, we always put life before profits. So to
Yep.
me, a license can be gone. I can give up a
Mm.
license, but I cannot give up a
Mm-hmm.
life. So
Mm.
between the choice of license and life, I decided to choose a life and give up the insurance license. Yeah.
Mm.
How much more if it's the life of my loved ones? I think it becomes a no-brainer for me. Even though the
Mm.
license is very precious, actually. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So at that point of time, you are the sole breadwinner of the family.
At that point in time, um, at the point before my husband went down, we were
Yep.
joint earners. After he went down,
Okay.
yeah, I became the sole breadwinner. But because he needed so much medical attention as well as
Yep.
attention with me helping him to rehab, basically I took a few times a leave of absence from Prudential.
Mm.
So until to a point, I find that it's not fair for me to leave my clients in the lurch.
Mm.
So I decided that I need to make a decision either to focus on caring for husband or
Yep.
focus with my customers. So I decided I have to move on so that my client can be taken care of by their future insurance agent. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Okay. I can understand your decision, but at that point of time, you still need to put bread on the table. So how do you solve that while at least spending time taking care of your spouse?
Okay, this is a mystery. A lot of people have been asking me for years. This is our 6 years of 6 years after his incident. Basically, I was his insurance agent, and
Mm-hmm.
he's the only customer I sold the most because I am his beneficiary technically. So as an
Mm.
insurance agent who is the
Yep.
greatest believer of selling insurance, I sold him policies that at a point in time I claim. So what I do is because I was on the leave of absence, the only thing I
Mm.
could do is to go to insurance company to claim policy one by one. So that's what I
Mm.
did.
Okay. Okay.
The good news is after 3 consecutive years, 2015, 2016,
Yep. Yep.
2017, I claim every single policy that I can ever claimed. In fact, to the
Okay.
shock of quite a number of potential colleagues, they were surprised
Okay.
that I can claim. Yeah, that took me 3 years.
Mm.
Yeah, and during in the initial parts, I was able to claim some policies that allow us to give the family a run time of maybe about a year. So during that
Okay.
time, while I focus on taking care of him, the insurance
Yep.
company, the payout kicks in. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the main fund income at the point in time, insurance payout.
Okay, okay, got it, got
Yep.
it. Okay, just pause here a while. For those people
Mhm.
who have just joined in, I think I see eight of you. If you have questions for Katie, feel free to type in the comments box and I'll just pull out your questions. Let's continue with the story. So
Yep.
Katie, now let's jump into the main topic of this. What because of the unfortunate turn of events in your life, what has that taught you about resilience?
Uh, um, actually, something happens 18 years before that. In fact,
Mm.
18 years ago, before the raw fish, my husband was brought down by undercooked beef. He was
Okay.
in even
Mm.
worse state. He was comatose. He was unconscious, and he woke up on his 34th birthday. It was 26th July 1997. And the reason why I could survive this second episode is because I was trained by the first episode
Mm.
18 years ago. So talking
Okay.
about how do I have resilience is based on the fact that I have faced him in worse situation. That's why this I took this thing quite lightheartedly actually because of my past experience. But it was quite a long
Okay.
suffering. Yeah.
So what happened in the first round? What happened during that time and how did that actually
uh, well, uh, my husband was given some incentive to go to US in
mm-hmm.
1997. I went with him,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody ate very standard food, but my husband ate undercooked beef. It was in Boston,
Mm.
if I'm not wrong. So
Okay.
3 weeks later, uh, 3 years later, he was in very he was working up late, and
Mm.
he had experienced very high fever. So before I could do it, I called the ambulance. When the so-called the civil defense people came in, he collapsed on the stretcher and he was comatose from that point. Because of lack of oxygen from home until NUH is about 10 or 12 minutes, he actually went into unconsciousness and he was given resuscitation over many antibiotics and very few antiviral, but he remained unconscious, so end up in the ICU almost immediately after they could not resuscitate him. So yeah, and
How
then
long
end
was
up
he in the ICU?
because he was unconscious. His whole body is totally shut down. Every single organs were failing, liver, kidney, don't know, everything and everything. So he needed a life support system to keep him alive. So he was moved from A and E of NUH and go straight to ICU in NUH. And
Okay.
yeah,
Were you at any
so
point of time very tempted to just say, I give up? I mean, it has been a very tough journey. Two times at two different periods of my life, my husband was poisoned
uh,
by food.
give up on who? On me or what?
Give up as in just like give up and throw in the towel. I don't want. I want to walk away from it all. Yeah.
Of course, many times already. I cannot count. I cannot count number of times. I cannot count number of times I am tempted in many times, many ways. And yeah, it's tough.
But what made you decide to just fight on, just stay and
Good
fight on?
question. I fight. I think if there's one room I fight, I fight because I'm a Christian. So in marriage, in sickness or in health. So I think the reason why I fight is because it's called character training as a Christian. So yeah. So I think that is the main thing. When going gets tough, we learned that God will empower us when in our weakness. So that is the key driving force to fight this journey of facing the same man on the same ICU situation under the same undercooked meat. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's how you got your personal motto: tough times make tough people tougher.
In a way, because I used to know this slogan whereby tough time never lasts, but tough people do. And I
Yep.
realized that because I was toughened the first time round, I thought I make it, but it takes another time to be toughened. So after the second toughen, I didn't know that he lost his hearing. I thought it was temporary. So from tough to tougher, from tougher to toughest. So it was a progression, and it's still very tough, obviously. So to
I
say
can
that
only imagine, Cathie. I can only imagine because your journey is very unusual. Not many people go through a family member or spouse
yes,
even having to fall seriously ill and be hospitalized for many days, not just once but even twice. And I'm sure, like you have just shared, there are points of time where you could have just given up but continue to fight on. So what
yep.
was the message that you got out of your this journey of very unusual, difficult, and very painful challenges? I can only imagine. What was the message that you got out of it?
My message is the message is for myself actually. Because you cannot experience the pain until you go through one.
Yeah.
So the message is more to remind myself rather than remind other people, because I don't think they'll go through the same thing that I've gone through. It's about commitment to a marriage covenant. It's not easy because
Yep.
it's tough. I'm by the way, I'm still struggling. To say that I conquered
I
that
can only imagine. I can only imagine.
yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling, by the way. Still do. So I am not in a position to tell people because I still struggle. Yeah,
What's your struggle? What exactly are you struggling?
my struggle, my struggle. I think Yuan, you were known that I'm an extrovert. So when an
Yeah, you are. I kind of get
extrovert,
the vibes.
I met with a husband who cannot hear. So there is a total communication breakdown. So my challenge is how to communicate in his silent world. So initially, I was very happy to write down, you know, I want to share one thing. I end up writing 30, 40 pages to get one message across. A 10 minutes conversation with anyone will be became 1 hour communicating with him. So that was the tough part. Still is, because it's very hard to communicate. And then he used this
Do you
handphone app.
learn sign language?
No, because technically he has deaf after that. It's not a newborn, so
Yeah,
he
yeah.
doesn't take
Yeah.
but the thing is, when you share, when I tell him something on there's a speech to text app which is on Google Pixel, end up the accuracy is 30%. So
Oh
our
no.
miscommunication is 30%, 70% miscommunicated. So after that, then he see my hand signal and my expression, then he trying to figure out another 30% gone. So the whole communication can cut off as high as 90%. So
Wow.
we miscommunicate almost every day. Yeah. We miscommunicate almost every day because
How
the
do you cope with
communication.
that?
Huh?
Does it frustrate you, make you angry, or
Of
what?
course. Yes.
I can
So
only
what I do,
imagine, right?
yeah, so I turn into writing. So I do a lot of reflection, reflect on how to communicate, reflect on how yeah. So every journey with him end up into reflection of certain things. So I reflect on parenting, I reflect on marriage, I reflect on a lot of things. So I turn all this energy into writing. And then
Mm.
that's why I contribute quite regularly in ST Forum, Today Online,
Mm-hmm.
Voices, as well as Must Share News. So this is
Mm.
my outlet. Instead of focusing on that distressing, trying to communicate, I move to writing as a contributor to media. So that's what
Wow,
I
you're
do.
amazing. You're
Yeah.
amazing. So what do you write about, and how does that help you cope
Oh,
with
of course.
the?
I write about insurance experiences,
Mm-hmm.
as because of my years of insurance experience. So sometimes you talk about latest thing like MediShield, CareShield,
Mm.
ElderShield. I'm in a
Mm.
position to share. And
Mm-hmm.
talking about parenting, I because my children are already young adult, I shared as a parent how have I journeyed through PSLE, through O levels, and the various decisions at different stage of my
Mm.
children's growing up. So I share parenting articles. I share insurance related articles. These are the two key things I share.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
that has been
Okay.
in the news since 2018. Sorry, 2016. My first article was on talking about letting children grow at their own pace, and this is
Mm.
on sharing for PSLE, a reflection over PSLE.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
So I do share very much in education actually, because I am. Have you heard of JOMO? I'm a very JOMO parent. A lot of people love
What's
S
that?
FOMO.
What's that?
FOMO is fear of missing out. For me, is
Oh,
joy
okay.
of
FOMO, FOMO,
yes.
FOMO. Okay, okay, got it,
So
got
I
it.
am a
Yeah, yeah.
JOMO. So I have the joy of missing out. Certain thing when
Oh,
people
okay.
miss
So
out,
yeah, JOMO,
I get out
JOMO.
of the queue. So I'm a JOMO parent, and I don't believe in investing in enrichment classes. So I believe that
Oh, okay, okay. You don't. So you don't
yeah,
send your children to enrichment.
I send them to when they are interested. Like you're not interested, then I save money, lor.
Okay, so
I
they
put
have
my
a
money
choice.
into insurance.
They have a choice,
So it's called
Okay.
JOMO parenting. It's not FOMO parenting. So I'm not a tiger mom, even though they think I am. Yeah, yeah. So, so that's what I do.
Okay.
So channeling the strength, the
Mm.
frustrations with communicating in a world of
Yep.
silence into
Yep.
something like writing the book, as well as oh, the other thing I do is I do a lot of skill future training. So I end up doing a lot of skill future. Up to date is 35 skill future in 12 months. So
Wow.
I upgrade my skill set so that I don't have to engage in the in the miscommunication. So this
Mm.
is my escapade lah. Yeah.
Mm. 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 Got it.
So
Got it.
yeah.
So your journey. I think a lot of people have gone through transitional periods during the past 18 months, the
Yep.
past 1.5 years.
Yep.
People have lost their jobs, their business have
Mm.
been affected. Some of them have closed down their
Mm.
business. And your life is a life of transition. So you have actually been through a lot of transition as well.
Yeah.
So what's the advice that you can give to people who are going through transition, especially they are feeling anxious, they are feeling worried. Can they find a job? Can they pivot? The government always tell us to pivot and adapt, but for some older people it may not be that easy and they are feeling worried. Can I actually cope all this? What's your advice to them?
Um, Actually, I'm thankful because for
Mm,
24 years I have been in the gig economy. So it's
mm,
very natural for me to move out and do a self-employment. So for me,
mm.
it's easier than somebody who has been employed for years, like my husband's
Yep,
case.
yep.
So I have been trained. Actually, I should have been trained in 1993 when I joined True to have to see my commission in a very erratic way. There are months I earn
Mm,
300. There are months I earn 30,000. So
mm.
I have been trained to save while I have a lot of commission, and when I have
Mm.
little, I took some money from my past
Save up
savings.
for a rainy day.
Yes, so this has been in my blood for years. So the key thing is always spend below your means.
Very
Not
important.
yeah,
Spend below your means. This is what
not
my parents taught me as well, and they really showed by example.
yeah. So spending below your means, and the other thing that I advocate for years is to have a
Yep.
debt-free living.
Mm-hmm.
I finished all my debts in my home by 2007. Every debt, my largest debt was HDB. We cleared it by
Mm-hmm.
March 2007, about
Mm.
8 years time. So
Mm.
debt-free living give you less worry. And the other thing is spending below your means. These are the two
About the
things.
debt, let me just pause on that point. Because a
Yep.
lot of people think that I should leverage, borrow money from the bank, and then buy house, buy property,
Mhm.
invest,
Yep.
whatever. What will you say to these people? They keep borrowing, leverage, and take on more debt so that I can get more interest because now low interest rate. Take on more
Mm.
mortgage, take on more. What's your take on that?
My take is very simple. To me,
Mm,
yeah, interest is like the bite of the snake. So if
mm,
you try to have like choose to have low interest, no, and then you have a small bite, and then it's not taken care
mm-hmm.
of, the bite actually infected, and before you know, like you're killed by the interest. Let me share with you a
Yep.
story. One of my insurance client, he was
Mm,
enticed to buy a private. He has a HDB. He was
yep.
enticed to buy a property of 300,000 debt then, and then
Mm,
when he next see me, he was a big guy, and then he told me that he lost every single thing. I say, what else? What do you lost? He said the people came to the house and then took every single thing except two things. Number one,
mm,
the matrimonial bed. Number two,
mm,
the idol, the 神台,
mm,
the idol,
The
the place that they
the
put
altar and the
altar.
idol. Okay.
The whole place was all taken off,
Mm,
chairs, anything, the whole place were all ransacked literally. And as a
mm,
man about at least about 1.75, and he's a big size, about 90 kg, he sat down on the
mm,
floor and he cried buckets because his house gone,
mm,
and then he still has $300,000 of debt. That was in 1997, 98 financial
mm.
crisis. And
Yep.
he was thankful that next to him was the wife and the daughter. That
Mm,
incident taught me about not going into debt where you cannot afford. And
mm-hmm.
yeah, he literally got bitten by a snake. Yeah. So yeah. So that picture reminds me that it's better to have
Mm,
debt-free living with a smaller house than to have
mm.
many houses and yet every property is filled with interest and debt. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing about Singaporeans, a lot of Singaporeans are asset rich but cash poor.
Mm. Yeah.
And in fact, I think the government is concerned about this because we have increasing levels of debt. We are taking on more and more debt. So whether it's credit card debt or it's mortgage loans and all that,
Yep.
we are as a country, we are taking on more and more debt. And
Yes.
this might not be healthy. This might not be healthy. Another thing,
Recently,
yeah, the second, yeah, sorry,
yeah.
you're
What
saying,
recently I think there is this
mm,
Grab came out with pay later. I told
yeah,
my children, don't you ever think that pay later. If you cannot buy this thing now, then give up the idea until you save up enough to buy. So I have never gone into installment for anything since 2007. If I cannot afford it, I throw out of my bucket list. Yeah.
I
So
never in my life go pay anything for installment.
yeah.
Even though the installment actually does make sense, but the
Yep.
installment creates a very unhealthy habit.
Yeah, so I think that's a good thing, because if you think that installment interest free, I rather not spend on future money. So I educate my children. Hopefully they get it, and I also told my client the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. A lot of people don't realize, right, the interest-free installment actually creating a spending habit, which is
Yeah.
what the retailers really want. I mean,
Yep.
face it. Let's face it. In life, there's no free lunch. So if they are giving you this, the retailers are giving you this interest-free installment. What they are actually doing behind the scenes, and they don't want you to realize that they are actually creating this spending habit. So you
Yeah.
not only want to buy just one item from this retailer, you want to buy the second item, the third item, the fourth item, because you think that you can afford it.
Yeah, this is false sense of thinking that you have a lot. I know of cases when I was in insurance. Those insurance agent that drove big cars, they are bleeding
Yeah.
in their bank. So not all, but I have seen in my lifetime in insurance that a lot of them. There's a saying in insurance: it's not how much you earn, but it's how much you net. You can earn $10,000 and you net only $100 at the end of the month. So if somebody comes to me and tells me that they earn 10, 20,000, I'm not impressed. I will ask, how much do you net? If you don't net enough, I don't care how much you earn. It is horrible spending habit. Yeah. It's a disaster in the making. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And that's that. I think that's one thing that very important. You realize that because your life was hit with
Yep.
very unexpected, very painful experience, and it did
Yes.
cost you a lot financially.
In fact, I think because for insurance, it takes a time before you can actually claim the payout. So at that point in time, because my family lifestyle is we have been living below our means,
Below your
and
means,
normally
right?
we have at least comfortably about 9 months of funds. Assuming every month our expenditure is $5,000 a month, so I would have at least set aside something like $50,000, so that when I didn't expect the crisis, right? When the crisis struck then in 6 years ago, we have cash flow that lasts us for about 9 to 10 months. So that is what we call the adjustment fund. So during that period, even I claim insurance and the timing takes 2 or 3 months, my family can still survive. We don't go into some financial distress, and when you're in distress is a very scary thing. Everything also collapse. Anything you do also wrong. And financial stress is actually one of the reasons why people are consumed and they are immobilized and they are so caught up because of financial stress. So for me, because of my training insurance, 9 months to a year, 9 to 10 months of adjustment fund before you do any investment. So that helps because I've been doing that for my client. I did that for my family as well.
Yeah, in fact, personally, I recommend 12 months of emergency fund. Yeah, I personally recommend 12 months of emergency fund.
So
And
that
very important, I think you talk about if you are ill prepared, it makes you become desperate. And when people become desperate, they become more susceptible to scams. This is something that you didn't actually say, but actually it's very true. It's very true. Just recently, I had a conversation with one of my friends who joined me for hiking. And then this friend is a very sad story. This friend actually fell prey to a Ponzi scheme. It's quite obvious it's a Ponzi scheme because when this friend described this particular investment opportunity, there are a lot of red flags. First of all, this investment opportunity, there's no product or service sold. Secondly, you earn money by referring people into this scheme. And thirdly, they promise returns that are quite incredible. I mean, I've been in the stock market for the past few months. I have done almost 20% returns, and that's not bad already. But this friend told me that this investment scheme apparently beat the stock market lah. So it's red flag, and red flag. So I told this friend, this friend wanted to borrow money from me to invest into this scheme. Then I flat out rejected lah. Cause first of all, I don't know this friend very well. And second of all, I told this friend, you better go and call the police.
Mm.
And it's quite sad because this particular friend is just a administrative clerk or something like a secretary. So this person can't be earning more than 2,000 plus 3,000. Cannot be. And this person already put in, right, 50,000 into this Ponzi scheme. Very sad.
I think when you are in financial stress, you look for some
Get rich quick schemes.
scheme.
Yeah.
That is most of the time we end up making the wrong decision. But if you are not in financial stress, your mind is clear. You're able to make your judgment call much more sensible. So having financial stress can cause a lot of misjudgment, wrong judgment, and you fall prey in a lot of things. And the other thing is stress also causes the person's immune system to go down, and the person will fall sick easily. So with falling sick and whatever, everything the whole world crash on you when you are financially stressed. So for my case, I'm thankful because of the cushion of the adjustment fund and the insurance payout. My focus is to care for my husband. My husband's focus is in his recovery. So when our focus is not on finance, the recovery will be much enhanced. Yeah, so that helps a lot. Financial stress is the killer. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay, policy walk. Jimmy, hello, Jimmy.
Hi,
They're
Jimmy.
online. Say
Hi,
hi to
Jimmy.
you guys.
Hi.
Thank you. CB Chow on YouTube. You ask what is the Ponzi scheme? I don't know what Ponzi scheme is it. It's still under investigation. My friend has already made a police report, so this story is still developing as we go along. But just for general information, since you asked, there are a few telltale signs to Ponzi schemes. First of all, there is no product, there's no product, there's no service being offered by this scheme. I know there are quite a few MLM multi-level marketing out there, and some of these they are very well established companies. They sell products. They actually sell products, and they have this scheme that allows you to earn through referring people inside. So that's legitimate. But what I'm talking about here is Ponzi scheme, which is like the Enron Ponzi scheme, Bernie Madoff. All these scheme, they have a few characteristics. So first of all, I mentioned they don't sell product and service. Then secondly, they promise very crazy returns. In Singapore, just recently there's one Ponzi scheme. It just went on the news. I can't remember what is this company. CB Chow, I don't know what is this company, but I know it's a Ponzi scheme. It's very obvious it's a Ponzi scheme. Sorry, I don't know what is this company, but since you know it's a Ponzi, then please warn your friends who are like my friend, desperate and they don't know about Ponzi scheme. Please go and warn them. But my answer to you is I don't know what is this company, but for sure, confirm plus chop, Happy Man chop. This one is a Ponzi scheme. For sure. And there are tons of Ponzi schemes, especially during this past 18 months pandemic. A lot of people lost their job, their business affected, business has closed. People are desperate. So there are a lot of schemes out there that promise crazy returns and say, wow, you invest with me, then you can easily make back your returns and multiply 2 times, 3 times your capital in a very short period of time. All this is Ponzi. Confirm. They say crazy returns, the moment they promise you crazy returns, it's Ponzi. There's a huge red flag out there. And then thirdly, sorry, you
maybe
say?
I just add on. I have a very recent encounter. I was in a women's Facebook group, entrepreneurs. I need to highlight this thing. I think when women go into entrepreneurs, I have to tell you, is a women's entrepreneur group. And then the founder of this group, she was asking for investment of $500. $500 is something very affordable, and she was saying about very high returns. I think something like something like 20% return a month. So I
20% a month is, yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy lah. It
I
cannot
make
be
a
lah, cannot
remark
be.
to her. I said, excuse me, this is a group of ladies. Anyway, you weren't in because you're men, so cannot qualify. So I say, from my experience as an insurance agent, even the investment guru Warren Buffett has mentioned, a well-managed fund is about 6 to 8%, a decent over time or compound interest rate. I said you're giving 20%. Can
Yeah, 6 to
what type
8% per
instrument?
annum lah. Per annum is reasonable.
Yeah, I said what type instrument is that? And then I said I am very uncomfortable, and I left the chat. I left the group, and before I need to communicate further, she blocked me from Facebook. So these are telltale signs.
Yeah.
And the group started like less than 100, and then it ballooned to nearly about 700-800. I was concerned because you're talking about 700-800 women listening to your nonsense. I have to repeat, nonsense. And then you come up with $500 of which people get. Then she will say, "Oh, Cathie, maybe this is not suitable you for some selected group of people." I say, "What's there to select? 700-800 people." So I am not in a business of. I'm in a business of exposing people because I have been there as an insurance agent. I know, but I don't even know what scheme is that. So those whoever woman or man who generally is woman. Woman is very gullible one. Whoever invests in this thing, you all better watch out because if you get 20% per month, I can tell you why our Temasek Holding not investing in 20% per month.
They don't even have to go up to 20%. I think about 2 or 3 years, I think 2 years back, probably less than 2 years, there's this Kenneth Kam. So Kenneth Kam was doing, he promised 3% per month investing in Forex. So I think Kenneth, he actually did trade in Forex, but it's actually a Ponzi scheme. You got to think about it, 3% per month. How can any investment give 3% per month? That's crazy. Yeah, so Kenneth now his assets all frozen lah. It's all in, and unfortunately some of my friends actually invested quite a huge amount with Kenneth, Mr. Kenneth Kam. I actually went to his house and he invited me over for Chinese New Year, but I'm in no way associated with him lah. Just to put it out on the record, and I no way condone what he did.
So you say 3% already as
3% per month.
3%
Even
is
3% per
not
month is crazy. It's impossible. Cannot do it one. You cannot have an instrument that give you 3% per month. Cannot be. Some people try to get me on, ask me to invest in his scheme. Then the moment I hear 3% per month, I know it's something wrong already. Cannot be one. 不可能的. You do forex also cannot. If even you are a very good trader, you have an algorithm and all that, you cannot be doing 3% per month. That's crazy. That's just pure, and it is lah. Turns out it is lah. So finally, people reported him to the police. Then his assets all frozen, and some of my friends, my personal friends, actually invested money in him. Very sad, very sad.
I think there's a saying goes, right?
Yeah.
There is a saying goes that if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's probably not true lah, and all that glitters is not good. I don't know how we ended up talking about Ponzi schemes from being resilient, but that's part of being resilient. Being resilient means being aware as well.
Correct. Yeah. If you're not resilient, everything also goes. You also gone case.
Correct. And Cathie, just at this moment, let me just how can people if they want to buy a book, how can they? Is there a website or something that they can go to? Maybe show your book and tell us a little bit about your book. Show us your book again. Tell us a little bit about it.
Actually, okay, this book is an old book. Oh, sorry, this book is an old book because this is a 5th edition. I just did the 6th edition. It cost me almost my life, 50,000 words because it's English and Chinese. So this is the book. Yeah, 50,000 because
solid lah.
Yeah, inside the gem, the gem is that I shared about my closure of my earlier company. In fact, I shut down my company in May 2020, and then I reframed my company in September 2021. Basically, I closed my company in pandemic, and I reframed the same company in pandemic. Yeah, that is inside the book. It's SG 56. This is 5th edition. This was 2018. So my
How can
printer,
people buy your book?
they have
Are
to find
you
me. They have
selling
to
it on a
find
website
me.
or what?
My website is not
Bookstore?
because now they have to find me because I
I have
am
to find you. Okay, I have to find you.
yes,
So how do you want people to find you?
they
Let's
find
say
me at Cathie
my
Chew. They
friends,
can
they want to
private
buy a book.
message me at Cathie Chew. And from now until December, every single book that I'm selling will go to charities. So
Okay.
I
Mm,
actually paid for my brain,
mm.
and I paid for the printing cost and all advertisement costs. Every single book that's sold from now until December all goes to
Okay.
charity, which include Boys Town, includes
Wow.
One For Tang. The other one is Man For Tang is a elderly home, and third one is the
Mm,
hiding place, which is a halfway
mm.
house.
Halfway
Of
house.
course, there are
Okay.
two others that I have finished my commitment. The one
Okay,
is
so I have to
hiding
contact
place.
you at your Facebook, is it?
Yeah, please. Yeah, correct. Reach me but because of the constraint of the printing now, a lot of people's a lot of constraints. My printer said that the book can only earliest come out second week of December. So I have been doing pre-orders until the books is out. Then I send out by normal mail because of COVID lah. So
Because of
yes,
COVID.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm selling
Okay,
this thing
so okay,
for books.
those people who want to get her
Yeah,
book,
printing.
I'll get your book also. Steady, steady.
Yeah, they'll come to me
Yes,
lah. I'm not here
contact
to sell
Cathie
books lah.
Chew
Yeah.
on Facebook. So type Cathie Chew, right? I can find you. Are you the only Cathie Chew on Facebook?
I am the only one. I'm not Cathie Wood, I'm Cathie Chew. Somebody
Cathie
say
Chew,
I'm
Cathie
Cathie.
Chew. Yeah.
I'm in a wood, but I'm Cathie Chew, not Cathie Wood. Yes,
Okay, we only have 4 minutes left. Let's wrap up the session.
yes.
We went from resilience, and then we talked about Ponzi scheme, which is also part of resilience. Okay, that's how life is. Policy work, Cathie Chew. Yes, yes, brother, steady. Yes, Cathie Chew. Please connect with her, and
Thanks,
please
bro. Jimmy, you're
support
my friend. Hi,
support her
thank you
by
very much.
getting a book because her story is very inspirational and it's also very relatable because Katie is also a Singaporean like you and I, and she's also a mother like some of us here. And yeah, help to tag. Okay, help to tag. Okay, steady. Thank you. Help to tag that in the comments.
Jimmy, I buy you coffee, I buy you my Nanyang coffee. Hey, no, hey, I make you coffee lah. Hey, but he doesn't drink coffee. Jimmy only drink
Drink
very healthy
coffee.
choice. He don't drink coffee. I know already. Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap up this session. We have 3 minutes
Yeah.
left. So what is your what's your one advice that to people who are going through a difficult time during this period, this pandemic? They are going through a very hard time. They don't know. They are uncertain what their future holds. What advice can you give them?
I have written a few quotes that I find
Hmm.
it is something that I learned I call it as Princess Cathy quotes. So these are I'll choose three quotes. Number one, a life is worth living when our why is big enough.
Hmm.
When our why is big enough, life
Hmm.
is really worth living. So, for example, why I'm here because of my family and my husband and God who put me on planet Earth.
Hmm.
Number two,
Amen to that.
when I see crisis at hand, I know that opportunity is knocking on my door. So
Hmm.
every crisis that came, I know opportunity is coming. So we need to look at when crisis come, you know opportunity has come. So
Hmm.
you have to learn how to turn your crisis into opportunity.
Hmm.
And the other thing is that the desperations of yesterdays may become your inspirations of today. Why I say this thing?
Hmm. I
I
like
was
that.
desperate. I was that the desperations of yesterdays may become your inspirations of today. I was
Hmm.
desperate for so many things. I don't know what to do. I don't know
Hmm.
where to start, where to end. Because
Yeah.
of all the desperations, I became an author. I
Hmm.
became a founder, and I don't know much more. So trust desperation
Hmm.
because it will get you to your inspiration. Yep.
Wow. Wow. I especially like your last one. Desperation to inspiration.
Yep.
Thank you, Kathy, for
No
your
problem.
time.
Thanks,
It's so
Agnes. Hi for having
valuable.
me.
And dear friends, please connect with Kathy on Facebook. She's an amazing person.
Yep.
And she also has amazing stories to tell. Please also support her. Get books. It goes to charity. Um, and and thank you very much for your time tonight. I hope you have learned something. I definitely have learned lots of things from Cathie. And see you around soon on my next Happy Man show. I don't know where is it. It's a bit irregular nowadays. But as and when I find people with inspirational stories to tell, I'll bring them on the show and I'll interview them. Okay, thank you, Cathie,
Okay,
and
thanks.
thank you
Thanks,
guys.
Yun
Yep,
Tai. Thanks, Yun Tai. Okay, bye.
my pleasure.
Bye.
God
Yeah.
bless. Bye bye.